I usually start my videos with a thrifting adventure, but today we're doing something different. We're headed to Boston to walk the Freedom Trail. I often talk about New England history on my channel, so I thought you might enjoy coming along. If history isn't for you, then skip ahead and check out my thrifted haul later in the video. We just arrived, and here is the hotel room. Whenever we travel, I always forget to show the hotel room. So here it is before we make it into a disaster with all of our stuff. So it's a nice big size. And we're right on the Boston Wharf. And pretty soon, we're gonna, after settling in just a little bit, we're gonna head down to the main tourist area. And we're gonna start our tour, which we're really looking forward to. Wherever we go, our first stop is always for coffee, but I thought this was a good time to show you the Boston Wharf area where we're staying. It's a really beautiful neighborhood, and it is a gorgeous day. The Freedom Trail is a 2.5-mile long path through Boston that passes by 16 locations significant to the early history of the U.S. I've walked this trail several times as a child, but never as an adult, and it's a first for Eric, so we decided to take a small group guided tour so we could learn as much as possible. You can also do the tour on your own if you ever find yourself in the area, and I highly recommend it. Hopefully, this video will give you a good sense of what to expect. We're meeting our tour guide right here by the Founders Memorial in Boston Common. This is the oldest city park in the U.S. Back in the day, it was a grazing pasture for the entire community. It was also used as a site for public hangings until 1817. On a happier note, the Common became a public park during the 1830s. Our tour is finally getting started. I can't wait to see the sights. We're off to a good start because in the background you can see the Massachusetts State House built in 1798 on land once owned by John Hancock. It's one of the oldest state capitals in current use. Apparently, the first dome was built out of wood and it leaked. In 1802, it was covered with copper by Paul Revere's Copper Company. And then in 1874, it was gilded with gold leaf just as it remains today. I think it looks beautiful, and apparently it's coming up for restoration sometime soon. Now we're passing Park Street Congregational Church, which was founded in 1809. The church's steeple rises 217 feet, making it the tallest building in the U.S. in the early 1800s, and the first landmark travelers used to see when approaching Boston. It must have been quite a sight. The church became known as Brimstone Corner in part because of the hellfire and brimstone sermons preached there, and in part because of the storage of gunpowder in the church's crypt during the War of 1812. This might be my favorite stop, the Granary Burying Ground, which is Boston's third oldest cemetery, founded in 1660. It's the burial location of many Revolutionary War-era patriots, including Paul Revere, the victims of the Boston Massacre, 3 signers of the Declaration of Independence, Samuel Adams, John Hancock, and Robert Treat Paine, as well as the parents and other family members of Benjamin Franklin. The cemetery has over 2,000 grave markers, but historians estimate that as many as 5,000 people are buried here. I was surprised to learn that Puritan churches didn't believe in religious imagery of any kind, so instead, gravestones were an expression of their beliefs about the afterlife. One popular motif that we're seeing a lot of here today was the soul effigy, a skull or death's head with a wing on each side, representing the soul flying to heaven after death. So although these images seem a little creepy to us today, they were considered to be very comforting to the bereaved back in the day. Our tour guide explained that these grave markers used to be arranged differently, but in the 1800s, they were moved into straight lines for a more orderly appearance and to make it easier to mow the lawn. Our next stop is King's Chapel and King's Chapel Burying Ground, and we're just kind of walking past this spot. It began as a wooden Anglican church in the late 1600s and was rebuilt in stone in 1754. It's known for its beautiful Georgian architecture and its unusual family pew boxes. We didn't go inside the building, but this is what it looks like. Next door is King's Chapel Burying Ground, Boston's oldest cemetery, dating back to 1630. Many early settlers rest here, including Massachusetts' first governor, John Winthrop. This elaborate plaque marks the site of America's first public school, Boston Latin School, founded in 1635. Although the original building is long gone, it's still a beautiful area. And a statue of Benjamin Franklin, one of the school's most famous dropouts, stands here today as a reminder of Boston's deep roots in education. The school still exists, by the way, but it was relocated to the Fenway neighborhood in the 1920s. I didn't take a picture of the old corner bookstore because it was covered in tarps and scaffolding due to a restoration project, but I'm including a picture of how it normally looks. Built in 1718, this little brick building once housed one of the most important publishing houses in the country. Here, classics by authors like Nathaniel Hawthorne, Louisa May Alcott, and Ralph Waldo Emerson were first printed and sold. Today, it stands as an important reminder of Boston's literary past, but I found it more than a little bit odd to learn that Chipotle is its current tenant. Not very historic, I'd say. The Old South Meeting House started out as a Puritan meeting house, but it's best known as a center for public protests leading up to the American Revolution. This is where the Boston Tea Party was set in motion on December 16, 1773. After a fiery meeting in this building, protesters marched to the harbor and dumped the tea into the ocean, making it an important stop on the Liberty Trail path. Here we see the old State House, and this building is absolutely stunning. It was built in 1713, making it one of the city's oldest public buildings. It was the center of colonial politics. Both the British government and the early American government used this building. Notably, it was where the Declaration of Independence was first read publicly in Massachusetts. Beneath the balcony is the site where the Boston Massacre occurred in 1770, when British soldiers fired on a crowd and killed 5 colonists. This event fueled anti-British anger and became a major turning point on the road to revolution. We've just arrived at Faneuil Hall, which has been a marketplace and gathering spot since 1742. Nicknamed the Cradle of Liberty, it hosted many meetings and speeches that helped spark the American Revolution. Today, it's still a very lively and loud place filled with tons of tourists, shops, food, and history. I am so bummed that the Paul Revere house is currently under renovation, so not looking its best. But someday I'd love to come back here and tour the house museum inside. This building was built around 1680 and is the oldest surviving home in downtown Boston. And it's known as the former residence of Paul Revere. As you can see, it's a small, simple house, but it gives a great sense of what everyday life was like in the colonial era. We've just come to the Old North Church, built in 1723, making it the oldest standing church in Boston. It's famous for its role in Paul Revere's midnight ride on April 18, 1775. 2 lanterns were hung in the church's steeple as a signal that the British troops were heading to Lexington and Concord, the first engagements of the American Revolutionary War. We're in Charlestown now, looking into the harbor. From this spot, we can see the USS Constitution, launched in 1797. It's the oldest commissioned warship still afloat, more commonly known as Old Ironsides. In the distance, we can also see the Bunker Hill Monument standing at 221 feet. It's a stately granite monument marking the site of the Battle of Bunker Hill, one of the first major battles of the American Revolution. Although the Patriots lost the battle, their strong resistance showed that they could stand up to the British Army. Sadly, this is where our official tour ended, but on our own, Eric and I headed up to Copp's Hill Burying Ground. Founded in 1659, Copp's Hill is the second oldest cemetery in Boston. Many artisans, ministers, and merchants are buried here. Because the hill overlooks the harbor, British troops once used it as a strategic vantage point during the Revolution. Eric and I are amazed by all of the beautiful old headstones here. It's such an amazing place. We decided to head over to Quincy Market, which is part of the Faneuil Hall complex. It offers a wide variety of foods, local crafts, retail stores, and there are often live performers. In other words, there's something for everyone here. Boston is considered one of the most walkable cities in the U.S., and exploring it by foot is a great way to get to know the city. Boston is relatively small in scale, so you can reach most destinations in a reasonable period of time. What adds to the interest is the street grid, which follows a colonial-era pathway system, giving it a twisty, almost European feel. As a result, you see charming, unexpected views and discoveries around every corner. Walking is also a great way to experience the different neighborhoods. Each has its own unique history and culture. Eric and I have dinner reservations at Smith and Wolenski, and it's a good thing because all of this walking has worked up our appetites. Eric and I had such a fantastic time in Boston. I'm so glad we went. It felt like a lot to take on for just one overnight, but it was well worth it. I love just those kind of quick getaways where, you don't have to pack a lot of bags and make a lot of plans. You can just sort of pop over to somewhere and come on back. And that's one of the things I love about living in Connecticut. There are so many interesting places that are drivable from where we are. So anyway, it was a good time. And I wanted to go to some antique stores afterwards, but we just didn't have enough time. We had to get back for dog sitting reasons. We were going to lose our dog sitter, my son, and we had to get back to let Licorice out. But we did have time to stop into a Goodwill on the way home very quickly. And I didn't take any footage because by then my camera battery had died and I neglected to pack my charger. Oops. So anyway, let me show you a couple of things that I found on the way home because I did find some good things. Like this very pretty teapot with the flower design and the gold tipped top, which is so pretty. This is such a pretty little decorative piece. You could use this to serve tea as well. This was made by Sadler. I have picked up a great many Sadler teapots on my travels, and nowadays I try not to pick up teapots too often because they do sell, but they're a little slower to sell. But this one was so pretty and the price was right, so I went for it. I'm on the third floor right now in the room where I keep my eBay bins, but I also keep some other things because I like every space to look pretty. And I really enjoy these shelves full of royal souvenir ware. And on top, you can see I have some pretty teapots, including the Sadler teapot I just showed you. So just an idea of how you can display some of your beautiful teapots if you collect them. I also picked up this really pretty candle holder. So this is nice because you can either hang it on a wall and put your candle inside it, or you can set this down on a flat surface
and it will stand really nicely. So you could put this by your bedside table or on top of a desk or a side table, anywhere at all where you want something interesting. And then it's nice because if you want, you can change the colors of your candles with the season, or to just mix it up. You can put little candle wreaths inside it to give it a different look. There's so many fun ways to dress up something that seems a little plain on the outside, but has a lot of potential when you start to dive into it. So I thought this would be a nice addition to my eBay store. I just put this candle stand here on the wall so you could see how pretty this would look if it were hanging from a nail or hook on the wall. And I wanted to show you too, this has a little schmutz in it, but how pretty this looks if you put a little candle wreath around it, you know, for the holidays or what have you. I think it's really sweet. It has a nice primitive effect. I found a really fun collection of reproduction bottles. I forget what these bottles are called. It will probably occur to me the minute I stop filming, but I will put the name of them below in the description box so you know exactly what I'm talking about. I've had these before, and Eric has collected little versions of these bottles, but they're really cute. This one has an eagle design on the back and George Washington on the front, and is this great amber color. And this one, I think, has like Lady Liberty on it, and also an eagle design on the other side. And then finally, I have this pretty kind of amethyst version that has Benjamin Franklin. I love this color. And it says the glass house on the back. And these are lovely, especially if you put them anywhere around windows. They really look like stained glass in the windows. They're nice like sun catchers. They have that effect. So they're a really nice decor object if you're looking for something that gives you a little bit of that old colonial vibe without the price tag of a true original. I thought I would show you how pretty the bottles look when you put them in a window, like right on a ledge or sill, because they let the light come through, and it looks especially pretty like that. So I think this is really nice. I never have things like this on my windowsills because Iris is 100% guaranteed to smack off anything that ever goes on a windowsill. So we don't play those games. We actually have a lot of antique medicine bottles that are really lovely in all different kinds of colors, but we don't even try because Miss Thing doesn't like it. So if you don't have a Miss Iris in your life, you can have pretty bottles and other lovely things on your windowsills, and they can look just like this.
Speaking of Iris, I wanted to give you an update that she has completely taken over what was meant to be a fruit bowl. So now we just call it the cat bowl, which is not very appetizing to think about. But yes, she loves it here, and this is where we usually find her these days. Crazy cat.
I thought this wooden candle box was beautiful. I'm calling it a candle box. You could put other kinds of things in this. In fact, you could put faux plants in here if you wanted to. But I think it would be kind of fun and definitely very vintage to use this as a candle box. I have something sort of similar to this that I use in that way on my kitchen shelves. Mine's like a mustardy yellow color. But this one is arguably even prettier because it has what looks like hydrangea blooms. I think these are hydrangea blooms, or would you say these are lilac blooms? Do you have any ideas? I thought it was lovely. I love anything painted in this way. It is signed on the back, if you can see that, and dated 2002. So a nice hand-painted piece. Nothing special on the back other than the Goodwill sticker, which I will remove. So again, this is something you can put on a flat surface and it can just stand on its own, or if you want, you can hang it on a wall. So nice options there and a pretty addition to your home decor. Here's the pretty painted box on my window ledge. And as I mentioned before, I would probably just put candles. These are little remnant candles. I'd probably put full length candles in there myself. Nice way to hold them. I go through quite a few candles around here. But they would also look, this would look lovely with plants in it. So that would be something else that you could try. I think whether you have this just sitting on a ledge like I just have it here, or if you even put this on a wall. Let's look at that. Something like that actually fit. You can see that would be very pretty if you had a nice spot for it. Such a pretty piece. I thought this beautiful crocheted lace runner was so pretty and so special with the little red flowers on the end. Wouldn't this be so pretty as part of like a Valentine's Day table? And it would also look really lovely for the holidays as well. I love anything handmade, and this is really finely worked. This is a skill I wish I had, but don't. But you will find this on my eBay store, and I was certainly excited to find it. I pick up this style of tablecloth whenever I find it because I am such a big fan, and they tend to sell really well on my eBay store. And I love the rich, vibrant red color of this one. And of course the fringe. These are so beautiful. And I'm going to show you what this looks like when it's all decked out on a table. Here is the table all laid out in my kitchen. Right now I have the leaf out of my table. There it is. So my table, which is usually oval, is round at the moment, but this tablecloth does fit an oval table, and the exact measurements will be listed on my eBay store if you're interested. But I thought I'd show you how beautiful it looks with just these elegant white Wedgwood patrician dinner plates. These were something we received from a family friend. We love this set. I love the look of this for the holidays. It would also be so pretty for Valentine's Day or any time of the year, really. I'd love a more substantial looking bouquet here on the table, but it is not the growing season anymore, so I just have a few dried flowers to give you the general sense of how pretty this tablecloth is. And sky is the limit in terms of how you can arrange it to suit the occasion and your specific taste. I almost never find Lenox at Goodwill anymore. It's extremely rare. I think they now sell it only on their online auctions. So I think they pull it from the shelves. So when I found this one, I could not believe my luck because this is a beauty. It has this pretty bow detail. I don't know if that was part of it originally or if somebody added it. I love the basket weave detail on the bottom and the beautiful flowers throughout. I think this is just gorgeous. Here is the back stamp. So this is Lenox and it's called Posy Baskets, which I think is a good name for it. And as sad as I will be to let this go, it will be in my eBay store because I have a ridiculous amount of vases and flower-eating cats. So the two don't go well together. And for that reason, if you're interested, you'll find it on my eBay store. And Indy is here, in case you're wondering, wanting a little bit of attention and a bit of a snuggle. So I think I'm going to sign off and give him his attention before he starts to jump on my head. Excuse me.
Here's the pretty Lenox vase on my demi-lune table in the dining room. You can see I put some faux tulips in it so you can get a sense of what it would look like when it's full of flowers. I think pretty much any flowers would look really nice in this particular vase. And I do like the bow detail, but I don't think it would be hard to remove it in case that wasn't your cup of tea. Regardless, there's so much to take in with this vase. The pretty flower pattern, the pretty basket weave. It's all working for me.
I don't think I've ever found a handmade quilt at Goodwill before, but I did in this case. This is definitely handmade and it has a lot of pretty details and pretty colors going on. This is like, I would say, a crib quilt size. And I know it's hard to see when I hold it like this, so I'm gonna lay it out for you so you can see it better. Here's a full view
of the quilt. And I would describe this as crib quilt size. I think that's the best way. This would easily be a pretty part of somebody's wall art if they wanted to display this on a wall. And we have to remove the cat. Okay, I do really try very hard to keep the cats away from the things that I'm selling in case there are people who are allergic to cats, and I also don't want claws to cause damage, so I don't mean to, Okay, sorry about that. I don't mean to be mean to Indy, but I really try to keep the cats far away from anything that I'm reselling. I don't want their claws to damage anything. I don't know if somebody's allergic to cats, so I don't want cat hair on stuff, so I do try very hard to watch that to the extent that I can. So you can get a sense. It's very pretty and very sweet for a child's room, but there are a lot of colors happening here. That's the only thing that I wasn't sure about when I was thinking about whether or not to keep this. But it really is very pretty. I'm not enough of a quilting expert by any means. Actually, I'm no kind of quilting expert to say whether or not this is well done. But I certainly respect that it's attractively done and would look so sweet in the right place. And here is the back. So the back is just this very basic kind of blue color. It's pretty bright. Yeah, so that is the quilt.
Here's the second quilt I picked up. This one is much bigger and also has a lot of detail, and again is definitely hand done, which is really unique to find at Goodwill. And as with the last one I showed you, I'm gonna lay this out so you can really see the full blanket.
Here's the other quilt, definitely much bigger than the one I just showed you. This is not crib size. This is definitely like a throw and would look really pretty just on the end of somebody's bed. But here are the details in this. So you can see, I love this pattern, and I love the plaid. I think they're my favorite. So we definitely have a bit of a holiday theme happening here. And the holiday is definitely Christmas and Hanukkah, and just sort of winter in general. It definitely has like a winter wonderland thing happening. So again, very pretty, but I don't know. I would have loved something that was a little bit more, I don't know, sort of generalized for a wider audience. So something not holiday themed and with colors that would be likely to match a lot of spaces. This is pretty, isn't it? This detail. Gosh, when I look at things like this, I'm just in awe of the talent that some people have that I do not have. Let me show you the back of this. The back is very pretty. The back is just this beige floral pattern. It's very nice. So that's what I have.
Sticking with our blanket theme, I am going to add this gorgeous blanket. This actually was mine, but years ago I changed the color tone of my room and this no longer works in my space, and it's too good just to donate it. This was made by Bella Luxe. It's really, really soft, has gorgeous colors, and this really nice fringe, which you probably noticed before. And so this is going to be available on my eBay store in case you're looking for a nice cozy blanket for the winter time.
Here's a look at how pretty this blanket looks draped over a chair. And of course it would look really nice draped over a sofa. I like that it's not a solid color. You know, instead of being a solid burgundy, which might be a lot, it's kind of flecked throughout the blanket, which gives a sense of softness, I think, and keeps it from being overwhelming. As I mentioned, this blanket isn't just pretty to look at, it's very soft and very warm without being hot, because sometimes blankets are like too much. This one has just the right amount of heat. And more to the point, Licorice likes it. Licorice, hey girl, you wanna look up from your bone and say hi? Licorice, hi girl, there she is. Hey pretty, show everybody your pretty new collar. Here it is. A pretty collar for a pretty girl. Good girl.
I almost forgot to mention, while we were in Boston, we made 2 really fun purchases. And one of them is something I've had my eye on for such a long time. And it is this Coach bag, which I have saved. I can't tell you how many times I've like taken screenshots of it after seeing it online. It's such a great shape. I actually tried this on at the West Farms Mall in Connecticut while I was shopping one time. And I loved it, and I came really close to buying it. And when we went to Quincy Market, there was a Coach store there. Eric and I went in, and he hadn't bought my birthday present yet. My birthday was November 8th, and I have some footage to share around what we did for my birthday, so wait for that. But this was my present, and I absolutely love it. The leather is beautiful. I love the burgundy color. Burgundy is very popular for this time of year and this season, and it fits on my arm absolutely perfectly, and it doesn't slide off easily, which is something that drives me crazy with bags. So I've really been enjoying this. If you're in the market for a bag, you should know this comes in lots of colors, and it also comes in a much bigger size if you carry a lot of things with you. For me, this was perfect for taking to work and just carrying my essentials, in case you're curious. This isn't sponsored, of course. I have my makeup bag. I have my wallet. My sunglasses case fits in here as well. My keys, my phone, you know, the bare essentials. And I find sometimes if I get a bag that's much bigger than that, I just end up having a lot of junk in my bag that shouldn't be here. And I'm trying not to turn into my mother. I'm trying, and mostly failing, not to turn into my mother, who always had a lot of weird stuff in her bag. This prevents the whole weird stuff in your bag thing. So I love it. It was a great birthday present. And I also, for myself, I picked up this really pretty necklace. So this is just a little piece of costume jewelry. I found it on a street. There was a vendor selling all kinds of pretty handcrafted jewelry, and I thought this had just a really nice look. It was a good size, and I've reached for it a lot, so I think it was a good purchase. I hope you enjoyed this video. We covered a lot of ground. We started off in Boston, we went on the Liberty Trail, I showed you my Thrifted haul, other little updates, we saw some fur babies, they're with us still, the usual mixed bag at Worthington home. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit like and please subscribe if you haven't already. I would love it if you would share this video with a friend if you think you know someone who would like it. Have a fabulous day, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye for now.